Hi, and welcome to Fulfilling Career Happy Life. In this season, which I'm calling A Seat at the Table, I am having a series of wonderful conversations with corporate executives, most of whom have crossed my path in some way at some point in my career, and just having some wonderful conversations, sharing their thoughts, their insights, the wisdom that they've gained as they've achieved their level, so that folks listening in can benefit from the journey the rest of us have had. And today I am thrilled to introduce former colleague, current friend, Karen Russo. Karen has a somewhat similar background to mine, but she's taken it farther than I did in the corporate world. She and I both started as sales representatives in the pharma space. She worked her way up the sales management. She and I worked together in the MS space, where she was rock star account manager when we worked together, and then went up through marketing after I left. But one of the really interesting things about Karen's background is that she was one of the early folks in the CAR T space, really bringing that to life. Then she moved into global positions as a VP and global business lead. Global disease lead rather, and was the VP and US commercial lead in the hematology space. And now she has a really interesting position as global program head for ADC Therapeutics. So she's brought it in many ways, pulled on different aspects of her career, bring it to a really strategic position. But one of the things that strikes me about Karen is that she is one of the most genuine and caring people you can meet. And one of the things that I've learned about her is the therapeutic area that she works in is really important to her. It has to be motivating because she is so in it for the patients. And I love that, and I think that'll come across. So Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Randy. It's a pleasure to be
Oh,
here.
I'm thrilled to have you. Thrilled to have
I
you.
hope you
Okay.
can't hear my crazy dog in the background. It's
Don't worry
barking.
about it. We love
Okay,
dogs. You may hear mine
great,
too. Yeah.
great.
So to get started, Karen, thinking about your career, what would you say was your biggest challenge?
Well, Randy, I think, I've had a long career because I started when I was 10. No, kidding, but it's been over 25 years in the pharmaceutical biotech space. And every step along my journey has posed different challenges, each one unique in its own way. And I've learned from each one of them, and it's really helped me move in my career, move along this great journey I've had. So I won't go through all of them, but I would say just thinking back when I was, in my mid 20s and became a sales manager at a large pharmaceutical company. That was definitely a challenge. I was one of the only female leaders and certainly the only one in my mid 20s. So I lacked that experience, and I lacked the wisdom that others had at the time. And I lacked being a male. So, I really rose to that challenge by being curious, by being very humble, and by having a lot of grit. Grit is really a theme that I've carried throughout my career, that I think is absolutely critical for success. So, my curiosity, my humility, and my grit, I was able to have a very successful career as a sales manager. And then when I went into marketing and marketing leadership, Randy, where you and I worked so closely together, I was new to marketing. I'd been in the sales arena for sales and sales leadership for 15 years. So very different going into headquarters, and just a great opportunity to learn and grow and bring the skill sets and that perspective from the field into headquarters. So, having a curious mindset, being humble, not afraid to ask for help, and then having that grit and I always say guts, resilience. Those are two critical elements that have helped me be successful. And then, ultimately, I've had other challenges in my career and in my journey. The one right now, I would say, I have an exciting role, global program head. And that role, it really spans across all functions of our organization. I am within the medical and clinical team. That's where my reporting structure is. And I am the only one without a medical degree. So that has been a really interesting challenge. And again, I've learned so much, and even without a medical degree, I would say, I've earned my stripes, and a lot of that has to do with my curiosity, my humility, and the grit that I had. So those themes, I think, have carried me through the challenges and helped me learn and grow.
Oh, there's so much in what you said, Karen. Thank you. I think a couple of themes that come across for me are the situations that you've been in. Like you mentioned when you were a sales leader and you were, younger than everyone else. It was male dominated at that time. And I was in a similar situation early in my career. So you have certain challenges there. And actually, I'm sad to say that that dynamic is still at play more than I would like. So there's a lot for people to learn from that experience. And now you're in kind of a similar situation of being the one in the medical organization without a medical degree, but I'm sure that you're the one with the most commercial experience and really tying it back to the business. So it's always interesting to see, what you bring, and and we're always aware, maybe we're more aware of the things we don't have, and they're sort of motivating for us. Some
Agreed.
other things that I love that you said about like curiosity and humility driving you through, because I believe those are leadership skills, and so I love your awareness there. I appreciate your.
Yeah.
So, Karen, thinking about your journey, is there anything that you identify now? It might be something you did or something that you hesitated or didn't do that you recognize now as a way you got in your own way.
Thanks, Randy, for that question. There's probably many things I would do differently in my career, but I don't have any regrets because I think everything serves a purpose, and you learn from those decisions, you learn from the experiences, and it just makes you a better leader, and a better person overall. I think one of the things that recently I have recognized about myself, and I would say, is it getting in my way or holding me back? I don't know if it's to that extent, but it's just something that I'm very conscious of. Is throughout my whole journey, I've really been a leader that leads with my heart and makes decisions with my heart, and everything is heart-based. And a wise mentor recently said, make decisions with your head and then execute with your heart. And I think that is a very, very wise bit of advice that I've been implementing recently, and it's serving me very well. I think it's a great approach, and a very rational approach. So it combines that strategic thinking and decision making, but also combines it with empathy and emotional intelligence. So I think that can be something that may have been holding me back, may not have, but either way, I think it'll make me a better leader in the future.
That's so appropriate for you because you are such an authentic leader, and you know you holding back on that caring nature and that bringing your heart to it, that wouldn't make sense for you. And I love the way you've been able to, that awareness has helped you in your decision making and as you implement things. Karen, what has surprised you about the career journey?
That's a great question. And the answer is something that's helped me to build my humility, and that is how replaceable I am. When I have changed jobs, I have always been really nervous to make that change in terms of maybe telling my team or telling my boss, because I care so much about these individuals. And when you work closely with people, you build a family. And when you leave and change jobs, it can be a gap. But you do find, and I see this everywhere, whether it's a sales rep, a sales leader, CMO, a CEO, it doesn't matter. They're replaceable. Everyone is replaceable in the corporate world, and everyone says this. And on LinkedIn, it's everywhere you look that you're replaceable at work, but you're not at home. And I've lived through that. I've lived through commuting to Boston for a job, and having the family feel that, and thankfully not being replaceable there. But But every time I've changed jobs, I've been replaced very quickly with very capable people, and that's important too. You want your team. You want to build a dynasty and leave a legacy, and have it be a team that can operate with different types of leaders and continue to be successful. So I think it's a good thing, but it early on was surprising because you do your good work and you think, wow, you know, look at what a great job I've done. But then you leave and someone comes right in and fills your shoes. So
Yeah, it's interesting because in some ways, I guess that's a mixed blessing. Like there's maybe a little part of our egos that wants to be irreplaceable, but yet there's, pride in having built a team that can keep going and, leave your mark in that way. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah. Thinking about, what you know now, would you change the way you approach risk?
I'm a risk taker in general. So I don't know that I would change the way I approach risk. I think I've always grown up with the motto Carpe Diem, seize the day. I think that's a great motto to live by. My mom always talks about her favorite song is Live Like We're Dying" by Tim McGraw, which I think is awesome as well. So, you know, I do take risk as an individual, so I don't think I'd change that. The only risk I don't take, I'm a huge safety person. It kind of makes my kids crazy, but always wear a seatbelt and never speed. But I'm the first that would go skydiving or mountain climbing as long as that harness has been double checked and been through all the safety rigor. So I
Interesting.
think I am a risk taker by
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah, I love that because what you're describing, the mountain climbing or the skydiving is a great analogy. It's like, if you've taken the safety steps to make sure that, that the risk isn't a crazy one, then go ahead and do it. So it's a great analogy. And you get extra points for bringing Latin into our conversation with Carpe Diem. I like that motto as well. Cool.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is for you. My next question, for you as a person who thinks deeply and cares deeply, what is something that you worried about that you just wish you hadn't worried about?
I am a worrier by nature. Um, and I don't think worry does people good unless you can control the situation. So I don't like this question, so we're going to skip
Okay,
it.
you got it. Skip this whole thing. You got it. Okay. So Karen, do you have like other leaders that inspire you? You follow their books, their podcasts, their, whatever it is. Like what do you have to share with our listeners?
Well, the first thing I'd say is most of the leaders that inspire me are people that I have worked with and just had hands-on experience. I have so many of those people. Randy, you're one of them. I work with many of those people right now. I stay in touch with many mentors and advocates that along my journey have taught me so much and challenged me and really are I'd consider great friends as well. So I have a lot of those individuals. So they're not through podcasts or books, but just through life. That I think having friends, colleagues, mentors, and advocates is absolutely critical. I'd say from a book perspective, my favorite book is Make Your Bed. And have you heard of that book, Randy?
I haven't. I
You
love when I get
haven't?
new books. No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll have to send it to you. So it's all about life lessons from SEAL training by Navy Admiral William McRaven. It is an awesome quick read, and it's got, about 10 life lessons. And it starts off with him saying, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. Just a basic thing that can make a world of difference. So there's tons of lessons that I could go through, but I won't spend the whole day doing it. But I always recommend that book. And
Okay.
another thing I have been doing with my children is every summer I challenge them to read a book such as this. And this started when my kids turned 10. And so they do get a little stipend for it. They do a book report, and it's been great. So, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the Make Your Bed, The Happiest Man on Earth was a recent one that my son read, which was pretty awesome. So, lots of great books like that can be super inspiring. From a podcast uh, angle, I would say I fell upon this podcast. It's called, and you told me I couldn't curse. I've been very well
No,
behaved.
I said you do you.
I'm doing me. This is not me. It's the name of the podcast. And it's called No Bullshit Leadership by Martin Moore. I think it's fantastic. It's every week he's got about a 20-minute snippet and, takes a current challenge in the corporate world and talks about how he's worked through it and some recommendations. So, lots of lessons there. The other, not podcast at this point, but I'm always searching for anything from Warren Buffett. I find him absolutely fantastic. One of the things that I was reading this week that he said that I couldn't agree with more was about when you hire somebody, there's the three most important things to look for. The first is integrity, the second is intelligence, and the third is energy. And he says, and if you have the second and third and you don't have the first, it's a killer. So the last thing you want is a smart, energetic person without integrity. He said you want them to be dumb and lazy if they don't have integrity. So I thought that was great. Hiring, I think, is absolutely the most important thing we ever do as leaders of an organization.
That's interesting. I'm a big Warren Buffett fan also, and I have not heard that quote.
Oh,
And
it's
I have to
awesome.
thank you because one of my favorite things is having these conversations when I walk away with recommendations for books and things that I haven't read. So,
I've got 2 copies of Make Your Bed, so I will send you one. You don't have
okay,
to.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. So you've shared so much, and the themes that are running through this are, in terms of you being a risk taker and how that has shown up both from earlier in your career and even today, and how it applies to your personal life is really interesting. Your points about, knowing yourself so well about, curiosity and humility and grit having gotten you through different phases and sort of pushed you forward and knowing you, those things don't surprise me, and the fact that you're so aware of it, I really appreciate your sharing it.
Thank
Any
you. Thanks for
any
having me.
final thoughts you have, Karen? Anything
No,
we haven't talked about that you want to mention?
No, nothing that comes to mind other than I think this is excellent that you're doing this, and I love learning from other people, and can't wait to hear the other podcasts that you have and learning from everyone that you're going to bring on. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so grateful that you came on. It's fun. You and I talk frequently, but it's fun to have a different kind of conversation with you and hear other things from you. So I really appreciate you sharing the time with us.
Thanks so much, Randy.
Thanks so much for listening to Fulfilling Career Happy Life. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, follow, rate, and review. Do all the things to show your support for this podcast. It helps other professionals who want to feel more energized about their work again find us. And if you want to take this thinking further, please follow me on LinkedIn, where I share content on a regular basis. You can also get on my email list by downloading the Career Satisfaction Assessment or through my website. All these links are in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in. I truly appreciate that you make the time for yourself to listen to the show. See you next week.